Hi, my name is Hunter Goldschmidt, and this is an in-depth look at a war fought 70 years ago, but is still very alive today in injustices around the world. Today, people all across the world face injustices. In Iraq and the Middle East, Christians are being persecuted for their religion. And in Russia and the Baltic states, women are being sold into human trafficking at astronomical rates. Did you know that due to human trafficking, there are more slaves today than there were in the 16 and 1700s? But the idea of injustices isn't new. The most horrific act of injustice was Hitler's final solution during World War II. And that's where Felix Sparks, a young soldier from Miami, Arizona, comes into play. Felix Sparks was an unemployed teen during the Great Depression. So naturally, he joined the army and was soon deported to Sicily, Italy, where him and his company was able to push through relatively quickly up until Naples. After liberating Naples, he fought in one of the most horrific battles of World War II, the Battle of the Caves, where young officer Felix Sparks lost every single man from his company except for one. However, the Battle of the Caves was only the beginning of many bloody engagements between Sparks and the fierce Nazi resistance in the Allied push north to Rome. From Rome, Sparks was ordered to make an amphibious landing in the south of France and push to the German border, where Sparks met the fiercest Nazi resistance in Aschaffenburg. There, every man, woman, and child was to fight for the fatherland. Those who didn't were to be hanged as traitors. After Aschaffenburg, dubbed the Casino on the Main, Sparks's fighting had reached its toughest. However, he had still not seen what he had been fighting for: the Jewish disabled outcast inmates at Dachau concentration camp. Sparks and his company had reached Dachau, and the sight was horrific. They came upon boxcars filled with inmates, both alive and dead, wailing with horror. His war was done, but the impact that he had would live on forever. In his novel, The Liberator, Alex Kershaw not only accurately depicted one soldier's journey through one of the bloodiest paths to victory throughout World War II, but also the struggles of an American soldier, both emotionally and physically, and his role as a hero, savior, and liberator to those faced with injustice. Many of the American soldiers who liberated Dachau were filled with anger and hate for the men they were fighting. They had truly seen the type of evil that they were facing. But the inmates had a different reaction, and a different sensation overwhelmed them. One Pole named Walenty Czerniński, inmate number 39272 at Dachau, said, "All we could think about were Americans. For the past 6 years, we had waited for the Americans, and at this moment, the SS were nothing." After the formal surrender of Dachau, a young nurse named Marguerite Higgins made her way into the complex to help the wounded, and her interaction with many of the inmates was extraordinary. "Are you Americans?" they called out, still terrified from the brutal SS. She nodded. "Long live America," they cried. As they ran forward, some, however, were too weak to walk, so they crawled. The liberation of Dachau had a lasting effect with both inmates and soldiers who were there. Jack Hollowell, a regimental headquarters staff, recalled how many of the soldiers who had entered the birthplace of Nazism said they wanted to kill. Probably for the first time, they realized the full evil of which they were fighting. The soldiers of the mid-20th century liberated Dachau and made a positive effect on both the inmates and the world for generations and generations to come. But we need a new generation of heroes, ones to stop the injustices going on today. Anyone can make a lasting difference in ending injustices, even a small town kid out of Miami, Arizona.